Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have a very interesting session for you today where we are going to talk about the application process from start to finish. At the end of this session, you will know everything that you need to know about making a successful application for your postgraduate degree in the US. Before we start, some information about Galvanize. So for those of you who don't know, we work with students and working professionals who want to, who dream to study abroad for their postgraduate, undergraduate degree or PhD degrees. We help for everything, starting from test preparation for your GRE, TOEFL, IELTS. We also provide admissions counseling for bachelor's, master's, MBA, and doctorate degrees. In addition to that, we also have some value added services like loan, educational loan, courier services, and those kind of things. So we are managed, our team is founded and managed by alumni from Stanford, IIT Madras, and IIM Ahmedabad. We have helped students from more than 65 countries, and some of them are listed here. All of these students have either joined us for test preparation or admissions counseling, and now they are successfully studying in their dream university. We have also helped these students go to more than 1,000 plus universities all over the world. These are some of the countries where we have helped students to get admissions. You can check out more information about us on our website, and also check out the feedback that students have given us on Quora. Okay. Now moving on to the speaker of today. So we are very happy that Ms. Shanthi Mohan, who is an Education USA Advisor, has decided to join us and give you this information today. If you have been in her sessions before, you will know that you will get loads of information. So make sure that you listen to her very attentively, take notes, so that, at the end of this session, you have everything you need to know about applying to the US. To give you some background about Ms. Shanthi, she has been working, she started her career as a software developer. And after more than 20 years of working over there, she decided to do something that she is passionate about, and she became an advisor at Education USA. So without any further delay, let's move on to the topic of the day. So Ms. Shanthi, please, thank you for joining us today, and you can take over the session.
Thank you so much, Jayanti, for a very warm welcome and a wonderful introduction. Good evening to everyone, those who have joined us today. As Jayanti rightly mentioned, this is going to help you understand from the start to finish. And we hope you really get the adequate information that you were looking for, when you joined this session. Just give me a second to share the screen. Yeah, I think it's up. I'm Shanthi Mohan. I'm from the Education USA, and Education USA is a US Department of State network, and it's the official source on US higher education. A quick introduction to who is Education USA and how we help international students like you. Education USA provides guidance to students who wish to pursue their undergrad or graduate education in the US. The graduate programs include both master's and the PhD. We are supported by the US government, and our mandate is to offer accurate, comprehensive, current, and unbiased information about US higher education. This is a global program, and we have more than 430 plus centers spread over 175 countries. In India alone, we have 6 centers located at 5 cities. The centers in Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, and New Delhi are managed by a binational entity called US India Educational Foundation. And we have an additional center in Hyderabad that's managed by a not-for-profit organization, Y-Access Foundation. I'm joining you from the office in Chennai, which is located inside the US consulate in Chennai. This information could be quite familiar to most of you, and probably some of you are already in the shortlisting process, or you have already identified what kind of program you want to go through, and when you really want to attend a US institution, either in the coming fall or in the coming spring, so on and so forth. So, this is just a summary for you to know that the various options available for you in terms of institutions and the kind of degree you would be awarded from these institutions. Uh, we are going to have specific mention to this application deadline here because our entire session today is dependent on the timeline. So typically when a student prepares an application package to US University, one thing that they have to be mindful of is the deadlines to various universities and the content which the university is expecting you to submit. So, on that note, I would say from the months of that is specifically this month onwards until November, December is going to be the months in which you are going to work on different components of an application package. Why, if you may think, every component of the application package needs some time to get prepared. Before we go ahead with that, I would just like to give you a heads up on your 5 steps to US study. This is the process the Education USA centers across the world advocate to students who think about pursuing their higher education. The step 1 and 2, right now, probably you are going through that. And we are going to talk more about the step 3. How do you actually prepare to complete your application and present a stellar application package to your desired universities? So this timeline helps you to understand that this entire process takes 12 to 18 months of your time. And if you're able to give enough time for doing each of these process, you will definitely land in the university of your choice. If you look at from the months of May to August, we work on shortlisting universities. Parallelly, you start preparing for the standardized test and English proficiency exams. And alongside that, you will also start submitting application forms. Most of the US universities would open out their applications for fall 2025, either in the month of August or at the latest by September. So even if you're going to start your classes in September 2025, you need that 1 full year to complete this entire process. So let's take a closer look at what do we really need to submit in an application package. So this is a typical graduate application package, and the names that I have put in here are self-explanatory, right? So if, this gives you a summary of what we are going to talk about in the further slides, and I'm going to talk about each of the components here. Before that, I want to reiterate that the timeline is an important aspect in a US university application process. So we recommend that you start from the summer of, you should have already started because you're going to end the summer now by July, right? And by the December or end of this year or latest by January of next year, you should have completed this entire process. It doesn't mean that the universities don't have a deadline later January, but by and large, even if the deadline is going to be in February or March, we recommend that the students submit the applications a little early so that the probability for good admissions and also the possibility of getting some good scholarships are much higher in this sort of a process. So what do the applications or what do you really provide in an application? I'm sure most of you know any application, if you look at it, is going to ask you for some personal data, demographic information, family background, educational background, etc. And sometimes many colleges want you to submit instead of a resume, they may also have specific sections in which you would be talking about your work experience or your academic honors, or sometimes extracurricular activities and community service. It is imperative that you should have all the information ready on hand so that when you start an application at a university, you shouldn't be really, looking for more information to complete the entire form that is presented. The next thing is academic transcripts. normally we call this mark sheets or semester mark sheets or whatever. Many universities prefer you to send semester-wise transcripts, or if you're in a system where you take the exams annually, then at the end of the year, whatever mark sheets you get, you need to submit that. Some universities are fine with you submitting consolidated mark sheet, which does not give a detailed breakup for each semester, but certainly list the coursework you have done in each of those semester and your corresponding CGPA, and also it talks about what is the credit level of that particular coursework you had done. This is very easy for those who are in a four-year system, because all the US universities accept a four-year undergrad program when a student is applying for a master's. Whereas only selective US universities accept a student with a three-year bachelor's degree into their master's program. So those who are doing a three-year bachelor's degree, our suggestion is that you need to definitely write to the university before you start your application process. So when you start your application process, probably you will be only in your third year, which means that you have access only to 4 semester mark sheets. Sometimes, depending on your deadline being in February or March, there may be a possibility to get the 5th semester mark sheet. When the information that you are going to share is bit incomplete as per the university requirement, even though you would have performed well in your academics, sometimes the university don't get your picture correctly. In those cases, we recommend you finish the 3-year program, get your graduation, and then start working on the process, so that the US university is able to understand your academic profile perfectly. If in case you are on the other side of the spectrum, like you are not a student who's applying for a master, but you are a student currently in an Indian university, but want to transfer your credits to a US university to complete your probably another 2 years of program, or 1 year of program, and also get a bachelor's degree in the US. Such students have to be more proactive, reach out to the university, and more specifically the department, to understand how the credits that you are getting from an international institution is going to be recognized in the US. In some cases, you will come across this credential evaluation requirement. You may find terms like NACES or WES in the university website, where in the absence of a person at the US university to understand the international transcript, the university certainly advises the student to go through a WES evaluation. Please give 2 to 3 weeks of time for processing the WES evaluation. So this is why we recommend, the moment you shortlist universities, understand all the requirements that they have set for their graduate program. So the moment you know and you are very sure that you want to apply to this university, start working on all those external requirements, which may take a longer time to get processed. Okay, so that's about transcripts. The next element is standardized test and English proficiency exams. Oftentimes, the universities these days do say that GRE is optional or GMAT is optional. However, they are very particular that the students submit an English proficiency exam score. When we say when we talk about reporting of the score, only fewer schools allow you to report the scores yourself. Majority of them require you to send a test score through the testing agency, which means your official scorecard has to reach the university. And every testing agency, be it GRE or GMAT or any of those English proficiency exam providers, all of them have some processing timeline to send the scores to the respective university for which you are ordering the test score. Sometimes this may take 10 days, sometimes it may take 15 days. So the suggested timeline is 3 weeks before your deadline, application deadline, you must ensure that these test scores reaches the university. And always keep a buffer time, because sometimes it may take more than what we anticipate. The deadline would have come, but you are very unsure whether the scorecards have reached the university or not. So the best practice here, what we suggest is, the moment you send the scorecards electronically through the testing agency, I'm sure they will send you a sending receipt and all that. So please keep a copy of it, and also 10 days later share it with the university that I have already submitted, could you please confirm receipt of the same. As much as things are very robust and there is a very streamlined process, it's essential that we need to take care of such follow-up mechanisms so that you're not at loss at the end of it. Okay. So why do we send an application package? Because obviously we need to make a good impression about us. So when we say good impression, it's not that you need to create a new information about you. You have to make sure the application is just you, and you're very honest about what you're writing, and the application has to be thorough. When I say thorough, spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes, wrong information, erroneous data, everything is considered as not being thorough, right? So make sure you check the application multiple times before you actually submit. Generally, most of the universities expect you to create a profile in their portal, and then they will open up the application for you, and then you start filling in all the necessary information. Likewise, you will be doing for, let's say you're planning to apply to 5 universities, you will be doing 5 times this exercise. So one best practice that I can sometimes or most of the time I recommend to my students is that create a Word document, have all the important information put in that, say like first name, last name, if in case there is a requirement for a DOB, and then your address, the college you are studying, all these informations can be already created in a Word document, and subsequently make sure that everything is perfect there, and then you can start copy pasting that information into the application. Why sometimes this practice is better is that the number of times you are probable to make a mistake definitely gets reduced, because this is going to be a one time activity. So make sure your base data is perfect, and then you just use it across the various applications that you're going to submit. And as I mentioned, follow up is very, very important, but follow up to an extent that it shouldn't be like a nagging a person. So it should be in a very measured way, and at the right times you should do the follow ups. Like I said, the testing, if in case some letters of recommendation, and if your recommender say that I've already submitted, but the college say they did not receive it, in those cases you can certainly do a follow up, but not for when will you give me the admission decision, because most of the time it is also given in their website as to when they will announce the results. So make sure that you are asking the right questions to the universities. So we are going to talk about one important element of the application package, letters of recommendation. So this is not something in your hand. See, your mark sheet, your scorecards are all tangible. So the university is able to understand you very clearly how you perform academically, and what is the score in the respective test. But when it comes to, let's say that you have a lot of achievements and other things which you have mentioned in the resume, but they need some other voice to say that yes, the student is a very potential and capable student, and yes, this has been achieved by them. That's where the letters of recommendation come really handy for us. So what does a letter of recommendation really gives to the university? It certainly provides a big picture about you, right? So where you studied, what kind of a student you were, what are the things that you have achieved as a student, and how is your learning potential in a specific subject, so on and so forth. And as I said, if you are saying that you have participated in one of the international symposium and presented a paper, and that was acclaimed as one of the best papers in that symposium, if there is a professor who was with you or who had seen you presenting it, can give a very good account of your potential to do such work. So that's what we mean by provides an effective voice for students. They are basically amplifying the work done by the student. It also provides additional and substantiative. Say, for example, if you are a student who's in the top 5 percentile of the class. So if a professor simply writes, so and so is a very good student and they secured third rank in my subject, and without having any sort of a comparison to understand. So when I say third rank in my class, was that a class of 100? Was that a class of just 5? Or was that a class of 10? So the sort of a qualitative and quantitative comparisons and information is definitely required in a letter of recommendation. That's what we mean by substantiative and additional information. So to get your professors write these information, you should also provide them a lot of additional documentation that will help them to come up with a very strong letter of recommendation. Um, they should also be able to distinguish your exceptional qualities, which is probably like in a classroom, 10 students would be academically strong. Among the 10, how different are you? That's what the professor has to write about. Sometimes it's not always possible. If there is a class size of 100, they may not be able to talk about much on the academic thing, but let's say that you stand out because you have done an exceptional project, or you stand out because you were a teaching assistant for them. So, or maybe you took a class for your peers, which was well received by them, etc. Those sort of information also they can definitely specify under this category. And finally, it helps any university to make a qualitative decision about whether you are a right candidate for them. So that is why letters of recommendation, sometimes we say, can make or break your admission to the university, which means we must aid the professors or the academic coordinator or whoever is giving you a letter of recommendation. Make sure you give them all the right information to work on it. At this point, I would also like to highlight one more thing. A lot of people are under a misconception that only a professor with a PhD can give me a letter of recommendation, or only a HOD can give a letter of recommendation. If my professor does not have any international connection, then they are not the right people to give a letter of recommendation. All these are myths. The only bottom line here is the person, whoever is giving you a letter of recommendation, must know you well and should be able to provide a comparative validation, and should be able to highlight all your achievements in a well-mannered way. Yeah. So please keep that in mind. You don't need to always rush to your HOD to get the LORs, because the HOD may not really know you personally well, right? So how students get a strong letters? Approach the right person. This is what I really wanted to mean. And then you should at least give them 2 to 3 months in advance. Typically, if you go through the timeline, July, August are the right months to approach your professors. I mean, if you have already approached them, well and good, but please go give us a very gentle nudge to them, saying that, my LOR, I have requested you to work on it. Could you please get this done by August end, so that I would be very happy and I can submit. Like, and when you're when you're choosing somebody as your recommender, make sure that it's just not a resume that you are going to submit to them. You should also discuss your future plans, so that even that they can write in your letter of recommendation. And finally, thank them whenever they write a letter for you. Many a times, the faculty members have told us students don't even recognize how much work we put in to churn out a good letter of recommendation. So please keep in mind, you must thank whoever is working on your working for you, because it's not they are not obligated to do this, right? So you are only requesting them to do that for you. So this when you choose a recommender, think about all this. So somebody who know you very well must also be able to understand you as a person, your characteristics, and at the same time can give a well-rounded information about you. So if you're able to choose that kind of a recommender, certainly your letter of recommendation will be very effective, and the university will find it very useful when they make a decision. So what should you submit to a recommender if you want a good LOR? please send a copy of all your academic records. Prepare blurbs for every single project, internship, or any other activity that you were engaged within the college or outside of the institution. Give them all short blurbs about it. And if in case you have some exceptional talents, but you never had an opportunity to showcase it within the campus, but you've been engaged with such activities, say probably you are like a number one Toastmaster speaker, or I mean, you're very good at debating. Probably you have a foreign language flair. All that your professor may not know, because we never have time to discuss about all this with them. We just talk only about the subject and probably about the test and the assignments and the projects, etc. So make sure you're not leaving out any information, and share those things with them. If in case, let's say you finished your education, you have taken a 2-year break, and then you're applying for a graduate program, certainly some universities want at least one academic faculty recommendation. So in such cases, give a short note about the kind of work you are doing and some highlight moments of the work you have done. So that will also help the professor to give, say, your potential to execute things well, or they can talk about how good is your application knowledge in that particular subject. And also, it's important to give the list of universities that you are planning to apply, a short note about them if possible, and the competitiveness. Even if you are not giving a very detailed thing, at least talk about acceptance rate, how many students get accepted into that university among so many apply. So that will help the professor to understand the level of competitiveness that university is I mean, having for selecting the students. Next comes resume. So your resume, it should be one page. That's a standard in most of the universities. Only if it is going to be a curriculum vitae, where sometimes students apply for a PhD program, that can run to 2 pages or 2.5 pages. But by and large, a resume is the one-page information. Because it's one page, make sure you give the more relevant and recent information on that. Oftentimes I see students talking about, their essay writing competition winning, and music competition which was held in the high school and all that. Please refrain yourself from giving all the high school level information. Give only your undergraduate. If in case you've also done a master's and going for a next master, please talk about the master's and the undergrad. And typically this is the information you should be providing. And when you talk about projects or internships or work experience, no, nothing more than 2 lines should be there. But if you are a PhD candidate, or let's say a working professional, but you can't provide a CV, in that case, I would recommend you don't have to really specify projects which are very, very, I would say a very small scale kind of a thing, which does not require much of say information, or which you feel you have done much more than the project in your current work experience. Please don't even include that in that. Okay. And the language spoken is one of the important component of a resume, because that shows the that's sort of a skill set, I would say. Typically Indian students, if you take, most of them say can speak 2 or 3 languages. Definitely, I mean, most of them speak their mother tongue and English. In addition to that, they also know other languages. If you have such skill set, please definitely mention those things. If in case you are a student shifting from, let's say, from mechanical engineering, or you want to move to computer science, why? Because you have had 2 years of work experience in the, let's say, an IT enabled sector, or you learned programming and you were really working as a software developer, but your basic degree is in mechanical engineering. You can include an objective line where you can summarize the shift in your profile, so that the university is able to understand the context. And in those cases, it is also recommended that you can talk about those coursework that you have taken, which is very relevant to a computer science program. So that will sort of help the university understand that you are well aware of the shift you are taking, and you have also equipped yourself to handle the shift at the master's level. Okay. Then comes the statement of purpose. I know the statement of purpose is like most of the time students struggle with initially. However, they find out how to go about it and complete the things. So it's not very difficult to crack a statement of purpose. I know these days a lot of students I've seen are using ChatGPT, but please do not do that. You can use it, but you need to improvise the way you want to present your case. You should also understand what comes naturally to you. Your way of writing can be very simple way. You may not really use much of those what we call as the bombastic language. Probably you use very simple words to describe something. It's absolutely okay. Or you are a kind of a person who can write, let's say, a three-liner, but you would like to mention some of the important things about a project through bulleted points. Even that is okay, as long as you have a style of your own and you are able to clearly articulate to the university through this writing about why do you want to pursue a master's program. That's well and good. So how do we really begin this process? It is important that you assemble all the what we call as how many such SOPs you have to write. Are there different themes? Are there questions? All this you have to keep in mind and assess how much time it's going to take you. Initially, you can write small paragraphs, and later on, depending on what the university is asking and if there is a context change, accordingly, you can link the paragraphs through connecting lines. So this is a very basic formula that we tell the students to do. But before starting the SOP, I would recommend prepare your resume and also prepare what we call as a activity list. So sometimes what you won't put in a resume, but you want to somehow bring it when you're talking about a project in your SOP or maybe any activity in your SOP. It's good to have the list of things that you have done, because when when you have a complete list, it's easy to eliminate from that rather than thinking about every now and then, oh, what do I write? I don't have anything to write, etc. So put down everything on paper and then eliminate what you really don't need. Most of the time, the SOP can come with what we call as no prompts. So they just simply say write a statement of purpose for 1 page, 1.5 page, sometime a word limit like 1,000. Sometimes they will give you a question and say that please ensure your statement of purpose captures all that mentioned in the prompt. So if it is going to be a prompt based one, then it is an SOP that you are going to write more specifically for that university, and you cannot just do a copy paste of the same thing for another university. As far as possible, have one general format, but read the requirements of the university and understand what is the speciality of the program in that particular university, and club in that information in your say the basic paragraphs that you have created. And especially for MBA students, it is most of the time question based, and it can be more of problem solving or realistic situation questions, and for which you have to come up with an answer. Those who are applying for PhD, sometimes the university may ask, instead of a statement of purpose, a statement of research. So the statement of research must help them to understand the kind of research that you would like to do when you join the university. And it's like more like a proposal statement, I would say. I mean, yeah, you want to conduct this research and you expect this is the outcome, but the outcome may be the same or it may be different. Nobody knows. But they want to try and understand your commitment to doing a PhD program. Secondly, how well are you able to write a research statement? Whether are you clear about how you want to go through your research, so on and so forth. So always keep an eye on what is the university expecting you to send. Sometime it can be a diversity statement, or it can be personal statement. So there is definitely a fine line difference between statement of purpose and the personal statement. Statement of purpose is more related to why that program, why that university, and what's your future goal, etc. Whereas in a personal statement, you are going to talk about you as a person. What are your qualities? philosophies. Maybe you can talk about your legacies. You can talk about the culture that you've been brought, and what are your beliefs and disbeliefs, and what you expect to be after some 10 years, etc. So read the information given in the university website and accordingly start crafting all of them. So this is a simple structure. You always start with an introduction. That's what we call as a hook. If the hook is right, people will go through the respective paragraphs. If you are not able to keep a hook in the first paragraph, sometimes people will lose the interest to read through the rest of. I mean, it doesn't mean that they won't read through. They will certainly read through, but they will try, probably that there isn't anything which is so different or so unique, or it does not probably describe well about why you want to do that particular program. Right. And then make sure when you are creating the body paragraphs, there has to be a connectivity. Connectivity is different from chronological order. A lot of students think that I must start only from what I did in my first year, then second year, third year, fourth year, like that. No one expect a chronological order. Everyone expect a more reasonable and a logical order. There can see the entire program. Let's say if you're applying at the university, was triggered, or you were more interested to go for the master's primarily because of a project you did in the third year, that can come first, and you can talk about it, and you can sort of weave a story like how it had landed you at this university. Those are all some interesting way to project. Feel free to write in your own natural style. There is nothing like an official format or anything for this, but it has to make sense, and it should have this sort of a structure. What is the best strategy? Always do pre-writing. As I said, start writing as short blurbs, and then make an outline as to how your SOP is going to be. Then draft your first SOP with all the blurbs and the outline that you have done, and go through multiple revisions, and then give it for proofreading to multiple people, and then finally take that as your the go-to version to the university. So this sort of a strategy is very important. Especially the proofreading is needed, and also you must know which SOP are you sending to the sending to which university. Many a times students follow this template mechanism, so they create just one SOP, just change the professor name and everything in another SOP and send it to another university. That's not at all right. And also the common mistake that we have seen in many places is that students don't even change the university name. So they just copy this and send it to another university, which jeopardizes their opportunity to get admission to that institution. So keep in mind all this before you actually submit a statement of purpose. Peer reviews always gives you a lot of valuable inputs. Don't shy away from sharing it with your friends. They are not going to copy it. They are also going to share theirs with you. So it's a mutual way to, sort of develop a healthy writing. Use of language, I've already spoken about it. Style and usage, it's up to you. Clarity is very important, and correctness of language, punctuation, spelling, and grammar. Yeah, definitely you can use softwares like Grammarly to correct it, or make somebody read it multiple times, and then make sure it is error-free. So what to avoid? You should answer a question differently, but not answer a different question. This is very, very important. Oftentimes, this is where the students make the mistake. And you shouldn't be very, very superficial. Wherever it is required, you definitely need to explain it in the right context. And also, I studied bachelor's in biotechnology. I learned many subjects related to biology. Is a very, very I would say an out of shape statement, because you're completing your undergraduation. You know the specialities of the biotechnology as a subject, so you should put the relevant, maybe it is a technical jargon or whatever, give the relevant information so that the reader is able to understand that you have prowess in that particular subject. And this distracting creative imagery, I'm sure a lot of people tell you like, oh, you should write in such a flowery style. You should write like probably what we call, it has to be like a real story. It has to be so dramatized. Nothing of that sort. It can even begin with a very simple sentence, and still it can go on explaining what you have done. Sometimes if you are not very comfortable writing like paragraphs, use this mechanism of giving headings for paragraphs. So the headings are created in such a way they help the reader to understand what you are trying to convey through that particular paragraph. So there are n number of ways you can be as creative as possible, and make sure you give the right information in any of the writing supplement that you are submitting. Don't over glorify your accomplishments, but don't underplay that also, because they may not be able to visualize like, I stood first in the Madras University, or I stood first in Anna University. So you can also say that among how many students that rank came. That doesn't mean you are over glorifying. You have to give the right kind of information. Never be negative, never undermine your professors, never undermine about the never write negative about the educational systems in your country, so on and so forth. Always make sure you follow the word limit. So that concludes all the basic elements of an application package, graduate application package. Beyond this, if you are a PhD student, sometimes they may also, not sometimes, most of the times they conduct interviews. For master's programs, it's only fewer programs which may have interviews. Only after your admission is through, universities ask you for financial documents. Otherwise, at the time of applying, it's application, online application, your test scores, your academic transcripts, letters of recommendation from the professors, your statement of purpose, or other documents like personal statement, diversity statement, whatever writing supplement the university asks is what you're going to send to them. In some cases, the WES evaluation is also necessary if they don't have a credential evaluator. At any point in time, if you would like to have more information about how do I go about writing SOP or whatever, we have a dedicated YouTube channel which has many such webinars done by US University representatives and professors and faculty. So you can go through them and get some additional inputs before you actually start working on your SOP. We also have a mobile app that can answer most of your questions if you have anything related to application package or generally the US University application process. We are available on all social media platforms. You can connect with us on any of the platform with a tag of Education USA India. And I'm done with my presentation and I'm going to stop sharing. I hope this has given you a complete idea about how an US University graduate application package has to be built. And I now hand over the stage to Ms. Jayanti, and who would take you through more valuable information on how to put all this together. Thank you, Jayanti. Over to you.
Thank you, Shanti, for the great session and a lot of information. I hope all of you understood what Shanti was telling and made notes of it. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box and I will take them at the end of the session. Okay. So I have a few more things to discuss with you guys. So let me just share my screen. So since Ms. Shanti already gave you an overview of the entire process, I would also like to bring in how Galvanize can help you achieve your targets and how Galvanize can play a role in helping you accomplish those things that Ms. Shanti just talked about. So first thing what we do is when you guys decide to enroll with us, we will do an onboarding. Basically, we will assign you a dedicated counselor, and that person will be the person who will handhold you right from the beginning all the way till you're ready to fly out. So the first part is to getting to know you. So that is called as a profile evaluation call. During this call, everything about your profile is understood by the counselor. Any queries you have about the process is also addressed. And you will be able to get an idea of how the process will work. Once this is done, if you have taken the necessary tests, if GRE is required for your program, you will be taking that. You have to take a TOEFL or an IELTS exam to prove your language proficiency. So once you have done all of that and the counselor has understood your profile very well, he or she will be able to provide you with a university shortlisting. Now, when we provide a shortlist for you, we will make sure that you understand why a certain university was recommended, why a certain university was not recommended. So, all of this will happen over calls, over discussions with your counselor, and you will be able to get a complete idea of what kind of universities you are eligible to apply. Based on your eligibility, we will also classify those universities as ambitious, practical, and safe. So you need to understand that some if you and your friend are applying to the same universities but have some differences in your profile, what may be ambitious for your student for your friend may actually be a practical choice for you. So this kind of classification or personalization is done entirely based on your profile. After you have got your shortlist, you have an idea of what type of universities you can apply. You move on to the documentation process. Now, here you need to write down your SOP. Just like Shanti said, this is something that um, has to sound original. So you ideally shouldn't use chat GPT or anything like that, because you don't want to get into trouble by using any of those AI tools that are available these days. So how Galvanize helps you out here is basically we get the initial raw inputs from you in the form of a Google form. We send you a form wherein we ask you all the relevant questions that are needed to draft a SOP. Now, based on the inputs that you have given, a draft is presented. And then through multiple iterations between you and the editor, you are able to finalize an SOP for your application process. Now, the process doesn't stop there. Just like Shanti said, for every university that you apply, you need to make sure that you have customized the SOP. So, based on the questions that the university asks, sometimes they just ask you to write a general statement of purpose. Even in that such cases, you need to go and research the professors that you want to work with, the department that you want to work with. If there are any interesting labs over there, you may want to research about that and write about it in your SOP. That shows that you have done your homework and why you think you are a good match for that particular university. So that is how the SOP is done. Now, in addition to that, some universities also require you to write a scholarship essay, a research statement. All of these things will be a diversity statement. All of these essays also we will help you edit and present it to the university. With respect to letters of recommendation, if your recommender or your professor provides a letter of recommendation, and if you want Galvanize to proofread it for you, that will also be done. Sometimes the recommenders, since they're busy, they will ask you to write the letter of recommendation and then get it approved from them. So it depends on basically what your requirement is, and Galvanize will step in and help you with that. Once you have all these things, once you have your university shortlist, you have your essays ready, you are ready to apply to the universities. After this process, you just have to wait for getting your admits. When you receive your admits, hopefully all of you will receive more than one admit. And then in that step, again, you will need some counselor help to understand which is the university that you should choose. Based on various factors like your budget, the program, the rank, the place, and all of that, if any scholarship is awarded, based on all of that, we will help you finalize the university and prepare you for the visa process. Something that goes hand in hand while getting ready for the visa process is financing. If you don't have any financial aid from the university, then you need to make sure that you are able to show the necessary funds during your visa application. For this part, if you need any educational loan, then Galvanize can help you with that as well. Once all of this is done and you are ready for your visa, and after you have we help you get the visa, As in, we will prepare you for the mock interview, because the US visas will need, for getting a US visa, you need to appear for an interview in front of the consulate officer. So we will help you prepare for that. Once you have successfully received your visa, we will also do some pre-departure procedures with you. Okay. Now here I want to pause for a second and show you the Galvanize portal that we use with our currently enrolled students. So just give me a minute, please. Okay. I hope all of you can see my screen. Sahil, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Shanthi.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So what we do is, like I said in the beginning, we have a very thorough onboarding process. So we ask you to fill some information based on which we try and understand your profile. So I'm showing you some of our past students um, who have completed the process with us. So for this particular student, he had indicated at the beginning of the process that he is interested in going to USA and Netherlands, and he is interested in aeronautics. Basically, his area of interest is aircraft propulsion. So we understood all of these things with him. We asked him what is the reason that he picked this major and so on. Now we also want to know your test scores. So this is a student who enrolled with us for GRE. So we also help with GRE preparation, like I told you at the beginning. So in our GRE package, we also include mock tests. So this student has taken a lot of mock tests, and he was based on his score. Based on his mock test score, he actually did better on his GRE. So by following our portal and our study plan very regularly, he was able to get a good score on the GRE. Then he also needed to take a TOEFL. Again, this student has enrolled with us for TOEFL also, and you can see that he has got an excellent TOEFL score of 112 out of 120. We also get to know you based on your undergrad degree. We ask you where you have completed your undergrad degree from, what is the GPA and things like that. We also get details like if you have had any backlogs in your undergrad, because we want to know that. When we shortlist universities for you, there are some universities who look at these things. So we want to make sure that we know this, so that when we recommend universities for you, these things are taken into account. Similarly, some of the students have a gap in their career, and we want to know if there is any gap, what they did during that gap. Then if you have any publications, we also want to know that, because that again boosts your profile quite a bit, and we will be able to recommend slightly more ambitious universities in such cases. We want to know if you have had any research or internship experience. Many times we have students who have finished their undergrad work for a few years and then decided to go abroad. So in that case, we also want to know about their work experience. Lastly, we also ask things like their short-term goals, long-term goals, and all that. The reason we ask this is because we want to understand you as a student, as a candidate, why you want to do something, so that we can also personalize and cater our guidance accordingly. Most important thing, we also ask you the budget, because based on the budget that you have and that you can afford to go, we will recommend universities based on that budget. So we also ask for other criteria. Many of our students don't want to go to cold places. Many of our students give more importance to the university rank as opposed to the subject. Some students say that the subject is more important. I don't care if the university is ranked well or not. So all of these things are taken into account when we recommend universities for you. And this entire tab, this profile tab, is something that you will fill out with all the information that you have, and your counselor who is assigned to you will go through it step by step, so that she understands your profile and gets to know you better. Okay. Some of the other tabs that I want to show you is, we also have something called as the essays tab, where we will help you prepare your resume, your statement of purpose, and your letters of recommendation. Now here I'm not going to open these documents, as these are personal documents for our students, but basically you will have a Google form link here which you will fill out, and with multiple iterations, these documents are finalized by the student. In addition to these documents, we also ask our students for all of these additional documents. Now, why do we need these mark sheets and things like that? Because very often we have students who are switching their major. So somebody may have done mechanical engineering in their undergrad, but they may want to specialize in artificial intelligence. So in such cases, we want to know whether you have the necessary prerequisite courses to be eligible to apply to a computer science program. So if you're switching majors, especially then in that case, we want to know that you have the necessary courses and you meet the GPA requirements, you meet the course requirements and all, which is why we collect these documents from you. Now, here is the interesting tab for you. So here, this is like a small checklist that we provide from our side. So for this particular student, based on all the profile details, based on the interest that the students had, these are the universities that the counselor has recommended for this student. Excuse me. Now, for this student, she was interested in US as well as a couple of European countries. So you can see that the list is a mix of these countries. Each of these universities, we have classified them as ambitious, practical, and safe. So what ambitious means is basically it is a dream university. The chances of acceptance for you in this university are low, but there is a good chance and you should still apply there. Practical, based on the counselor's experience and your profile, based on the history of the acceptances in those universities. We think that this is a good practical choice for the student. So the chances of admission here are very good. Safe university is that we think you will definitely get an admit here. So if you see, the student has been given multiple options of practical, ambitious, and safe. And it is entirely up to the student on to which universities they want to apply. Normally, we recommend to students that they apply to a good mix of practical, ambitious, and safe, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you don't have any admits after doing the process for almost 18 months to 2 years. Now, this student has finally applied to 8 universities, and she has ended up getting admit from 4 universities. Now, I also want to show you that if you click on any of these universities, so while we already give you the category, the priority deadline, and the regular deadline, there is a lot more information that you need to know about each of the programs that we are recommending for you in these universities. So, for example, if you click on one of those universities, it will open up a tab here where it says, okay, which country, what are the deadlines, which program you're applying to, which department and program you want to apply to, what is the ranking of the university. In addition to that, we also give you links like these, which you can directly click from here and go to your relevant program. Okay. We also give you a tab here to say if GRE is required or not required. So for this particular program, GRE was not required, but the English proficiency test was required. Now, this is the place where you get your university specific SOP. So now if you see, in this case, the university has required that there be a concise, well-written statement about your career goals and how Michigan's graduate program will help the student meet his or her objectives. So the student has got this information from the application package, from the application form on the university website, and has entered this information here. And then our editors have worked with him to help him customize his main SOP to satisfy these conditions that are mentioned here. Sometimes there is a word limit, sometimes there is some other kind of requirement from the university. The student here, this particular university has also asked the student to provide a personal statement. Again, the student has then given us the requirements of, what is the personal statement. It basically talks about your background or life experiences, which has motivated you to pursue a graduate degree in the US. So that is something, again, the student has provided the initial inputs, and then we move on and we customize it for the student. Now, if you see, there are also options for a scholarship essay that we help with a research statement and a diversity statement. Some of these applications are required by the university, some of them are not. So it just depends on based on the requirement of each university and each program, we help you out with all aspects of the application. Once all of this is ready, the student is then ready to go and submit the application on the university website by creating the credentials and filling out the application. Now, once you have done all this, the next thing you need to do is make sure that you have your finances in order. So for that, again, we have a separate financing tab here. Now, in this case, if you see, basically, we have asked the student to fill out a bunch of information as to where they are currently located. If they need any financial help, what is the financial amount they need help with? If they have a collateral, if they have a co-borrower and those kind of things, what type of loan they are looking for. Once you have filled this information, we have a number of educational loan partners that we connect you with to make sure that you get a good rate and you are able to successfully get an educational loan. So these are some partners that we have which help us with this process. Now, the last step that you need to do before you move to US is to get your visa. Now, that is a very crucial step because after doing all of this, if you are not successful in getting a visa, then it's a little bit of a downer. So what we do is based on the number of admits that you got, you pick one university. So even if you accept offers from many universities, do note that you can finally get a visa only for one university. So in the US, you decide which university you want to go to. They send you something called as an I-20, which is a form that is required for the US visa. Now, once you have done all of this, we give you a checklist for understanding the visa process. So we not only provide you some videos on how the visa process takes place, but we also give you the checklist for the list of documents that are needed for the visa process. Okay. And we do this for all the countries that you want to apply to, as in you decide to go the final list. Like I said, in the US, you also have to attend an interview. So before attending the interview, you have to fill out a bunch of forms. So we have videos on the portal where we have showed you how to fill these forms. Also, the counselors will guide you. We also have mock interview videos, which will help you understand how an interview is taken at the US consulate and what you need to know for that. And we will also give you a couple of mock interviews with our counselor so that you are ready for the visa process. Once you have booked your visa slot and you have got all your visa prep done, you are then now ready to go for your visa interview. Once you have done with your visa interview, you can let us know, and then that shows that the student has been approved. Now, between now, once your visa is approved, until the time you go, we help you with some kind of a pre-departure process. So if you are interested in, any of the ticketing system, tickets, or any other kind of health insurance and things like that, we also help you with that accommodation and all that. So those are our we also have a pre-departure orientation that we do with our students before they head out. So this is our complete counseling process that we do end to end. Okay. The last thing I want to show you is a few of our success stories. Okay. So while I showed you the profile, the portal that we use with our students, let me also quickly run through a couple of success stories that we have done. So like I said, we help you with TOEFL and GRE and IELTS. Okay. So these are some of our students who have, now here I have listed students who have an IIT undergrad and who have ended up going to Berkeley, ETH Zurich, Dartmouth, UCLA, some of the very good universities in the world. Okay. So let's meet Sumit. He is from BITS Pilani. He had a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Had an overall GPA of 7.96 and a good GRE score of 320. With some research background and a few extracurriculars, he has successfully gone to University of Pennsylvania in electrical engineering. So even though his bachelor's was mechanical, he did a major change and went into electrical engineering. I have Pawan from Manipal Institute, again, bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Because of his good GPA and his research experience, he has got an admit at University of Berkeley, which is the number 3 in the ranked number 3 in mechanical engineering. I have Shushant, who has a BTech in electronics engineering and is gone to Columbia University for a master's in electrical engineering. Sham has a bachelor's in electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur, and he was really interested in mathematics and statistics. So he got admitted at the ETH Zurich for a master's in statistics. If you look at the research and extracurriculars that he did, all of this is related to his field, but it also has a lot of data analysis, which is why he decided to go for a master's in statistics. I have Shweta, who has a bachelor's in telecommunications and who has got a master's in engineering management at Cornell University. So even though she's from the tech background, she wanted to do something related to management and so has decided to go into engineering management. So which gives you the best of both worlds, engineering as well as management. Let me show you one more case. So I have Aishwarya from VIT Vellore, who has a bachelor's in biotechnology and has gone to Johns Hopkins for a master's in biotechnology, which again is one of the top ranked universities in the world. Okay. So the last one I have Sai Charan from NIT Kurukshetra. He had a bachelor's in electrical engineering. Very good GPA, good GRE score, excellent TOEFL score, and has gone for his master's in electrical and computer engineering at the University of Texas, Austin. Okay, so I hope all of you enjoyed the session, got the information that you have, and please let me know if you have any questions. I can check the chat box. Okay, I have one question from Janvi who's saying, okay, let me read out the question. She's currently pursuing her final year of bachelor's in biotechnology and wants to know improve my chances of getting into a PhD program without a master's program. Okay, excellent question. So if I'm assuming you want to go to the US, you don't need to have a master's degree to pursue a PhD degree. But what you have to know is that it is very competitive because when you apply for a direct PhD, you are competing with other students who have already completed their masters. So your profile has to be excellent. Since you haven't given me any details of your profile here, I can't tell you for sure. But you need to have a excellent GPA. Ideally, you should have some kind of research done. You should have some research experience. If you have a couple of publications, that would be great. So all of this would make you a very good candidate for a direct PhD. Now, in addition to that, you should write the GRE because again, you don't have the research experience that a master's student would have. So it is better that you take the competitive exams, you write the GRE so that also boosts your score. The other thing I would like to point out is that if you go for a master's, if you have a good profile and you get an admission for a master's in the US, you are directly eligible. Then after you finish your master's, you are in a better position to get a PhD. In such cases, what happens is whatever credits or whatever courses you took for your master's will also be counted towards your PhD. So even though you did a 2 years master's, you don't have to spend another 5 years doing a PhD. You will automatically spend only 3 years because the 2 years of master's will be counted for your PhD also. So that is the other option. So if you are deciding that you want to apply to a PhD entirely based on your profile, it would depend on whether you could apply to the top ranking universities or you could just apply to medium ranking universities. So what I will suggest is that you fill out the application, the free profile evaluation form that Sahil has been posting. And once you do that, we will be able to give you much more personalized advice based on your profile. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Let me see the next question. 1 sec.
There is a question from Sonali Saha. Is GRE necessary for PhD also?
Yes. Now, unless the university says that you don't need to take the GRE, in which case your profile has to be really good. Like I just mentioned, you need to have an excellent GPA. You need to have the research experience. You need to have some publications, attended a few conferences. And you need to start networking with the university professors. So if there is a professor who is really interested in your profile, then the GRE, not taking the GRE may be not an issue. But otherwise, ideally for PhD candidates, it is recommended that you take the GRE, especially if you don't have a master's already. For pursuing a master's in engineering, what matters more, the CGPA of the student or the score in the GRE? So this is a question from Tanya. So again, good question. The CGPA does matter because most of the universities even have a basic requirement, as in every program has a minimum GPA that you definitely should have. Obviously, having a higher GPA will give you a better chance. Now, where the GRE comes into picture more is that if your GPA is not very high, on the very high side, but if you have an excellent GRE score, then it shows that you have taken that extra initiative and taken the GRE exam, which will boost your profile. Now, again, here it depends on the program that you're applying for. Some universities have still kept GRE optional. If GRE is optional, then we still recommend that you take it. If GRE is not needed, then you need not take it. So here again, it depends on the program that you're applying for. But GPA is very important. I wouldn't say that if you have a low GPA, but you have an excellent GRE score, then your chance, it doesn't matter. No, GPA has to be very good. As in it, you definitely have to make sure that at least you are above the you are able to meet the admission requirement of the program. So your GPA has to be above that. If it is just above that, if it's not that great, then taking the GRE will definitely help. While writing about research in SOP, should I have to be specific about which field I am going to work in the university? Okay, no. So what happens is many times if you're applying for your master's, you may not know what kind of research you want to do. You may just have a general idea that I want to apply and work in this area. So for example, say you have an electrical background and you want to do some research in control systems. You may not know exactly what type of system you want to work with. You may not know what you eventually want to do with it. What you can do in such cases is look at the university that you're interested in, look at the research that the professors are doing, and you may find something that is interesting and you may want to work with that professor. In that case, what you can do is you can customize your SOP a little bit to say that these are the things that I have done in my undergrad or in my master's, and this is what I would like to work in. So you don't need to have a very specific plan, because that is something that you will learn under your advisor over there. Once you are into a program, you will have a research advisor who will guide you on these points, and they will give you an idea on what kind of work you should do. So it's not necessary to have a very clear idea. If you do, that is great. But if you don't, it's fine. As long as you have some research idea, something that you want to work on, you have some idea about it, that is perfectly fine. Okay. I'm just going through some more questions that I got. Okay, I have a student from Bharat. I have a question from Bharat who says, I'm a second year law student at Symbiosis School and I'm interested in pursuing an MBA in US. As you are interested in banking and finance. Okay, how should my way ahead be for my, okay. So since you have a law background and you want to pursue an MBA, you will need to show that you have the necessary tools and you have the necessary profile to go into the field of finance and banking. Okay. So I think your profile is a little more complicated and we will need to take a deeper look at it. So what I'm suggesting is, yes, there are many options for you to do an MBA in the USA, and I don't know. Okay, you're in the second year, so you don't have work experience. So we will have to look at programs that don't require any work experience. And there are a few MBA programs in the US where you don't need to have work experience. So what I will suggest is that you please fill the profile evaluation form, attach your resume, and then it comes to my team, and one of my experienced counselors who is an MBA counselor will get in touch with you. Okay. So I need to have much more information from what you have suggested here to give you more advice. So please do fill the form, and we will get in touch with you. Is PhD admission fully funded along with a monthly stipend add-on? So yes, generally a PhD admit comes with a fully funded position. That is, it will cover your tuition waiver, that you don't have to pay any tuition fees. In addition to that, you will also get a monthly stipend, which will take care of your monthly expenses like rent and some other things, your rent, utilities, food, and all that. Now, to get that PhD admission, which is fully funded, it's very important that you apply early. You apply to universities which match your profile. See, everybody wants a top ranking university, and then, they don't consider that, okay, the program is good in a certain university, but the ranking is not so high. So I would suggest that when you are making your application, um, please make sure that you consider the program more than the ranking of the university. Well, the ranking is extremely important, but you also want to make sure that you're enjoying the research you're doing, which is a 5-year long program. So you want to make sure that you like what you're doing. Also, only when you are suitable for that position, the professors are also interested in giving you a full ride. So it's better that you apply to a program that you're really interested in. Make sure that you are interested in that program, and then you do the application. So most of the time these days, the PhD admissions do come fully funded. Sometimes there is a tuition waiver, but a part stipend, or sometimes a partial tuition waiver. That all depends on the profile and the program that you're applying. Having said that, if you don't have a master's and you have an undergrad, don't assume that just because you want a fully funded PhD, you can directly apply for a PhD from your undergrad. So that is a common myth and mistake that many students do, that they think that, oh, I'll apply for a PhD because it will be a fully funded position. And then once I get my master's, after that, I'll just quit the program. That again is not something that you should do, because many times if you can't quit after your master's program, and if you decide to quit, you won't even get a master's degree. So it's very important that when you apply for a PhD program, you are 100% sure that you want to pursue a PhD, and you have the dedication that is needed to complete the degree completely. Okay. When you all say PhD, is it only technical PhD or PhD in man? It's a complete, I mean, it's not just a technical PhD, it's any PhD. Even if you want to do a PhD in management, the conditions are similar. You may not need to take the GRE, you may need to take the GMAT. It again depends on the program and all that. Okay. Some Ashok is asking me, can we do credit transfer of courses taken in master while applying for PhD? Yes. If you have completed your masters in the US, and if you are applying for a PhD in a related program, so for example, if you did a master's in mechanical engineering and you're doing a PhD in mechanical engineering, all the 30 credits that you took in your master's program will completely be transferred for your PhD program. But if you say did a master's in mechanical engineering, but now you decide that you want to do a PhD in computer science, all the courses will not be transferred. The courses that are needed for a PhD in computer science, like the math courses or any other relevant courses that you have taken, those will get transferred. So you may not get the entire 30 credits from your master's, but you will get most of it if you have done the relevant prerequisite courses. Okay. I have not started preparing for my English proficiency test. I just started my 4th year. I do not think I'm currently prepared to start my application. I know I have a strong. Can you suggest a timeline for me, or I have to take a drop of 6 months? So this is a question from Kashish. So if you are in your 4th year, I would say that you're not late. You just have to hurry up and start your process. So if you are going to take the GRE, if you're applying to the US, if you're going to take the GRE, you should take it in the next 2-3 months. If you're not going to take the GRE, then it's fine. The English proficiency test should be taken at least by October. You need to start working on your essays, that is your SOP, LORs and all, by next month, by August. And you need to have your shortlist done by the month of October. So because many of the universities, especially the top ranked universities, have their deadlines starting from the month of November. Ideally, you want, many universities have a priority deadline and a regular deadline. You want to apply for the priority deadline, especially for your dream universities, because there it also improves your chances of getting an admit with a scholarship. So I don't think you are late. You don't have to take a drop. If you are targeting fall 2025, you don't have to take a drop or anything. You are at the right this, but you need to start your preparation right away, because based on your program, based on the universities you want to apply, you may or may not have to take the GRE. If you have to take the GRE, then I would say that you need at least 2 months of prep time, or 1 month if you are really if you think that you can devote 1 month to your GRE prep, then, and based on where you start, it's going to be okay. So I don't think you are late, but you definitely need to start now if you want, if you are targeting fall 2025. Okay, I think I have answered most of the questions. Sahil, do you have any questions?
Done, ma'am. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I've got most of the questions. If you have anything else, if you think I've missed anything, please fill out the profile evaluation form, and one of our counselors will get in touch with you and completely walk you through the process. Also answer any of the questions that I wasn't able to answer. So thank you again for attending the session with us today, and I hope all of you found it useful. And please connect with us if you have any more questions or any want us